Hey everyone, welcome back to another Executive Table Talk, better known as ETT. My name is JT O'Donnell. I'm the founder and CEO of Work It Daily, and we are the hosts of this live podcast. I am so excited today to talk about setting realistic goals and deadlines during the summer. We are in the thick of it at the time of recording this right now, and doing those kinds of things can feel a little challenging as everyone's taking various breaks and vacations before the fall hits. So with that in mind, let's bring up our incredible panel of experts. As always, I've got my superstars here, Anna Smith, Michael Willis, and Lisa Perry. Hello, gang. So Anna, I'm going to start with you. I really want to talk about it as you coach global executives. You know what's happening right now, juggling vacation schedules. What's the best way to handle this so that things don't get too far behind?
This is definitely top of mind for a lot of folks, including myself. And as I was reflecting on our conversation for today, I was looking at some good statistics around how much do we achieve of our New Year's resolutions. And I have some interesting data for you guys. Only 8% of people actually achieve their New Year's resolutions, right? So it is not simple. It is not easy. Like you said, JT, we're already in the summertime, and the way to probably get closer and more realistic in terms of achievement of them is very key. So I have a few key steps and a double click on those key steps, so they're hopefully useful for all of you out there. So the first thing is make sure that you have exactly defined and decided on what it is that you want to achieve. It may seem obvious and basic, but the more precise and the clearer you are around your specific goal is going to be better. It is not the same to say, I want to lose weight. It is very different to say I want to lose 20 pounds by X amount of time. So it is very, very different. So first one, decide what you want to do or focus on. Then the other bit, which I think a lot of folks miss for some reason or another, is write it down. When you or we put goals in writing, the way in which our brain recognizes this information is through three of our senses, and therefore it gives us a bigger bang for our buck. So write them down. It's super, super important. And also, people who write their goals down is 42% more likely to achieve them. So that's very, very important. I already talked about the fact that we have to set a deadline. It goes with our sense of urgency, and it's fundamental to not only have the clarity, but also the deadline attached to it. It keeps us motivated. It keeps us on track. Then there's a few more ingredients here before I go into the double click, which is determine what obstacles you might encounter. If you know you're going to be on a beautiful vacation and you are going to be challenged by into that particular goal, plan around that. Know how you're going to be able to overcome any potential hurdles to it. Whatever the goal might be, it's just about anticipating and determining what those obstacles might be. The next bit is also what type of either a skill or a knowledge or a specific perspective or resource that I may need to accomplish it. Then let's think about the plan. What about the specifics on how am I going to get to that particular goal? When you break the goal into smaller chunks, it becomes much more motivational and much more realistic. So that, for example, every single week, you already have an achievement towards the goal and you keep motivated into that perspective. One piece, which I think is super important, at least for me and for other folks that I coach, is make a public commitment. What this means is share the goal that you want to achieve with an accountability partner. Decide and define who that particular partner might be, and help them understand what you're trying to achieve. One thing that I love about Einstein, I believe, said this, is you have to be able to explain, in this case, the goal to a 6-year-old. And that 6-year-old will need to be able to explain it to another 6-year-old. And if that is the case, then the clarity of the goal is there. If not, then you have to go back and make it clear. So it's very, very important that there's a deep clarity on what you're trying to achieve. So the 6-year-old test for Einstein is always pretty good. The other bit is that when you have an accountability partner, you are probably 45% much more easily going to achieve the goal than when you do it alone. So that's in itself a big piece. I think the last most obvious piece is take action. Don't wait until you have absolutely everything in order to start, like the famous "I will start next Monday." Why don't you start tomorrow morning or this afternoon, or at least build a plan, build the steps that are going to be involved in that goal, so that you're ready for the next day. Anticipate for those potential barriers, etc., and persistence, of course, into succeeding. I talked about a double click on this. One of the big areas that I've seen work extraordinarily well for even very senior leaders is whatever goal it is that you have, you write it every morning, write it down, you revise it at the end of the day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before you get into family time or what have you, and ask yourself a couple of questions and write down the answers to these. How much did I advance toward the goal? What are some of the things that I got from that, right? So what did I do today that got me closer? And then the second question is, what would I do differently tomorrow in order to achieve that goal? So I just wanted to bring all of these different things in the moment that we're living. And this, of course, can be applicable any day, any time. But these are the things that I believe are going to be much more, much more valuable and relevant at this day.
I love it. I feel like a lot of what you're suggesting, Anna, is really helping to keep it top of mind, because the summer can get away from us, right? Whether it's the accountability partner, writing it down, keeping it simple so that someone can understand it. I love that 6th grader example. All of those things are really, really key. They're not hard to do, but they're definitely necessary in order for you to stay on track. Great stuff. Michael, I'm going to jump over to you. So amazing background in the NFL, working in finance and operations. Obviously, that's like preseason, right? Preseason. So I'm curious how things get done in the summertime there. Tell us a little bit more about your thoughts on this.
Well, thank you, JT. I love talking about how the NFL spends the summer season. A large chunk of the summer months in the NFL football is known as the dark period. From right after Super Bowl until the beginning of July, the front office cannot communicate with the players, team staff, game officials, when they should be taking their time away from football. So I have broken it down into 2 steps, a 2-step process as far as strategies for the summer. And the first one I'll call deep planning. Following the Super Bowl, the NFL league office executives, team owners, and select coaches meet as a competition committee to review the previous season. They review head and neck injuries, concussions, things of that nature. As a result of these meetings, new rules are born as part of player safety and ways to make the game more safe and more competitive. While working at the NFL, I've been trained to think and work as far into the future as possible. So for me, for example, the special events department work on Super Bowls at least 5 or 6 years into the future. They block hotel rooms, they develop new themes for the game. So for me, working in finance and operations and in the front office, matters are done months and months before the summertime is there. So, and then also game day staff has been hired for the upcoming season. So I take my time off during the preseason. It's about to start early August. And the second part of my strategy is execution and forecast. So in the later part of July and through August, I focus on setting up my files, Excel spreadsheets, and getting ready for kickoff. My budget worksheets are set up for multiple years, so I begin to update for the following year, update information that I know will change based on the collective bargaining agreement. The deadline for the budget is in November, so I get an early start. In closing, football and summer months are downtime mixed with energized excitement for kickoff. There's always something to do, though. You have to adapt to be flexible. There's always something to be caught up on. You have to prioritize and focus and get ready for what we all love, play football.
I love it. I love it. I love that there's a cadence to that business too, right? It actually, the summertime is sort of like your catch-up time, like you said. But still, the amount of planning that you put into it
Yes,
in order to be finished.
A lot of my friends ask me, he's like, what do you do all year? You're always busy. You work full time. The game's only 17 weeks long. What do you do? Just planning. You're getting ready. There's events going on. It's a lot of planning behind the scenes that the average fan may not think about or even wonder about. Just things get done. But it takes a lot of people behind the scenes. We're not on the field, but we're behind the scenes. A lot of stuff gets done.
I love it. I love it. So summertime's a good time for that. That's amazing. I love it. Lisa, let's jump to you. So global marketing, large consumer brand background. Let's talk about summertime and what that does to those environments and how to manage them.
Well, summertime's a great time for, relaxation and enjoyment, but it is also a productive time for setting and achieving goals for personal and professionals. But, whether you're a student, a working professional, or just someone who is looking to make the most of your summer months, setting realistic goals and deadlines can help you stay focused. So for me this summer, here are some things that I've done to set realistic goals and deadlines to be productive. So the first thing that I've done is I've taken time to reflect. And so what I've done is really taken some time to reflect my aspirations. That includes my short and long-term goals, my ongoing projects, my commitments. This has really empowered me to look at meaningful and motivating goals that align with my values and my ambitions. The second thing is define specific and measurable goals. I love how Anna and Michael really hit on this because it's really important. If you're anything like me at the end of the summer, I want to look at what I've achieved. And so for me, one of my goals is to be physically active. And this includes 15 to 20 minutes of physical activity 4 times a week, which goes into my next goal of setting realistic goals. And while my goal is to be physically active, I've got a dear friend she runs marathons, she does Ironmans. And so I need to be, aware of the risks of frustration and burnout with any unrealistic expectations. So in order to succeed, you want to be aware of your current circumstances, your resources, your time availability, and your mood. For me, I'd rather set several realistic goals than struggle with one overly ambitious goal. The next thing I do, and Anna touched on this beautifully, was to break down your goals into smaller steps. For me personally, I divide my goal into manageable tasks on a weekly and a daily basis. And I think Anna hit on this as well. This provides me with a trackable roadmap that helps me stay focused. And the next thing I do is set deadlines. I don't know about you, but deadlines are an incredibly powerful motivator for me to stay focused and help me achieve my goals. Now, I do recognize the importance of realistic deadlines so that, I can ensure a commitment and not overwhelm myself. The next thing is to prioritize wisely. With my kids out of school and so many activities coming at us, I ruthlessly prioritize my goals to focus on what truly makes a difference. I cherish my time with my family, and so I don't want to overcommit myself and focus on those things that truly matter. The next thing is, this is important. Be flexible and be kind to yourself. Life is full of surprises and unpredictability, so embrace it and don't avoid self-criticism. Let me give you an example. If one of your goals is to say, stop smoking, and you stop smoking for 29 days. And then on the 30th day, you smoke. Do you just give it up? No, you stop smoking for 29 days. Look at the bigger picture. That is a huge accomplishment. Stay focused on the long-term goal. That is more important than just one day of a setback. We all have setbacks, every single one of us. We are not perfect. So be flexible and be kind to yourself. And the last thing is, celebrate achievements, even the minor ones, right? We want to recognize the progress that we're making. It fuels us to do more. We need to recognize and celebrate that journey that we're on.
Well, it wouldn't be a successful ETT without me forgetting to turn my mic back on. I love that you are, giving people the grace to understand that, while you set these expectations, you can do all these things to try to achieve them. When it comes to the summer, sometimes it's just not going to happen. Things are going to get in the way, and you got to be okay with that, right? Not beat yourself up. I think great advice across the board. One of the things that somebody brought up, Mike Thorne, actually, a fellow executive, said is it important to give grace and space for leaders to look at summer goals differently than at other times of the year? So I'm curious how you all feel about that. Should we automatically assume that not as much can get done in the summer, or that we should have that flexibility? I think I know where you're going with it, Lisa, but I'll jump down to you first, Anna, and say, what do you think about that?
Great question from Mike. And I think it all boils down, from my perspective, to expectations and alignment of expectations. So if you do your planning for the year and you optimize, summer is always summer. And therefore, for that particular period of time, you anticipate and you plan for, this is the way in which we're going to do or execute goals, and, quality is the same, etc. Then people know what to expect. And at the same time, it's always important to be very clear and very specific, right? So alignment of expectations for me is key. It also connects to the fact that some organizations have their fiscal year, very large organizations, as you know, their fiscal year starting in July, so July 1st. So it also connects to that alignment of expectations. So as a leader, you have to be able to provide this clarity and this vision for your team to ensure that everybody is on the same page and not going to, oh my God, everybody is out because it's August and it's Europe, right? So I would say alignment of expectations.
Love it. I love that. Great point. Michael, what do you think? Should we be more flexible in the summer?
Yeah, thank you, JT. It's a great question that Mike asked, because I think that everyone should take time, especially leadership, take time to reflect and let the air out, kick the tires, and say what went well, what didn't work well, and it's a whole. What can I do, or what can an organization do to make things better? I think having that time to reflect, I think that's necessary. That's very necessary.
I agree. I love that as a thought process. It's time to reflect. Lisa, you mentioned that as well, as it was a great opportunity. What are your thoughts?
Well, yes, of course. I think giving grace and space to leaders during the summer can be important for work-life balance, because it brings vacation time and family commitment. It's a time for renewed energy. It can be a time for refreshment and renewal, seasonal challenges. We've got fluctuations, and leaders may need time to strategize and adapt to changing conditions, flexibility for remote work, employee engagement. There's just so many reasons why we should be allowing the leaders the grace and space that they need.
Yeah. So here's the flip side to that. We've got a lot going on in the economy right now. I think a lot of companies are under the gun to produce. Mm-hmm. And I think historically there is this mindset that, the summertime's the time to ease up. So what would you advise people who are here now going, but that's not happening in my company right now. My company's cracking down, expecting more out of us, is, worried about revenues, is, tripling our workload in the summer, and, that sort of thing. What would you advise people to do that are feeling the pressure, someone who wants to enjoy the summer but isn't feeling like that's possible? Any thoughts or tips? And I'll bounce to you. I'll put you on the spot.
Absolutely. I think it all goes to having the conversation with your leader and having an understanding of, what are really the priorities? Because one of the things that, independently of the time of the year, which is the summertime right now, independently of that, if there's an opportunity for each one of us to be proactive and talk about, these 2 weeks in the summer are super important for me. This is my family time, and I'm letting you know in advance that I'm going to be taking them as vacation. If you're already there, right? If it's like, oh my God, I didn't plan for that, then have an honest conversation with your manager and talk about the fact of how important it is for you and for your overall sanity and for your overall results. So land some sort of commitment. And make sure that it fits both ways. So hopefully that should work. But don't just keep it inside and say, oh my goodness, I didn't say it, and all of these results are out there, all this pressure. Because nobody will speak up for you unless it's you and your needs. So that would be my 2 cents on this particular.
I love it. Michael, do you agree? Thoughts?
Yes, I do agree. I think that coming out of COVID, I think that companies are on that edge and trying to, regain revenues and get things back to normal. And as you know, I think there's a buyer's market out there. So I've always said, if you don't want to do, somebody else will. So I think companies are going full throttle right now, summer or no summer.
Yeah, definitely. And Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, I think there's definitely the opportunity. You've got to make sure that you are competitively advantaged and you're staying ahead of the game, but you also can't burn your people out who are just going to leave and go somewhere else. You're making an investment in your people. So, when throughout the year are you going to have downtime? Summer, holidays, those are the times. And so can you provide some breathing room for your team? And you've got to figure out when that is. If it's during the holidays, okay, it's during the holidays. Maybe it's not during the summer. If it's during the summer and very limited during the holidays, you've got to make those choices, but you've got to give your people some downtime and some breathing room to be able to rejuvenate and re-energize, or else they're not going to be effective for you. And so you've got to figure out that cadence, that rhythm to your beat in your company, and when to go heavy and hard on, and when to kind of bring it back and let people, re-energize and be creative and come to the table when they can go hard and take some time.
Yeah. As a business owner and an executive, I can tell you there are times where I'm feeling the pressure. I've got stuff that has to get done, right? That we need to deliver on. And it's in a time like this, right? It reminds me of the holidays, right? Where if there's stuff going on in the holidays, you want your people to have the time off, but at the same time, you're stressing about what needs to be done, right? It's definitely a fine line. What would you all say to somebody who says, I have deadlines that have to be met, but I rely on other people for the things that I need to reach those deadlines, and they're not available? Like, I'm struggling with people being on vacation, people being out, people kind of slowing down, checking out. What would you say to somebody like that who's really feeling the pressure to meet their own deadlines, but they're controlled, I guess, by coworkers? Anna, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how did you arrive, or how did this particular individual arrive to that situation? And I always like to understand the process, just because we don't want to repeat. We will all make mistakes while we learn. By the same token, we don't want to make the same mistakes over and over again. So one of the things that we need to be very, very good at, especially in this day and age of uncertainty and advanced complexity, is you have to be proactive and anticipate for that. If the situation is today is Friday and I'm going on vacation on Monday, and I'm talking to you, my manager, and letting you know that, because Joe and Patty and Susie didn't provide me with information, I'm not going to be able to make the deadline, then that's a deeper conversation around, how you manage resources, how you manage relationships, stakeholders, etc. on one end, which is probably not going to solve the problem. Somebody else will have to carry the load for sure in the team. And secondly, if it's prior, then let's say 2 weeks before the person is going on vacation, then it is, okay, what are some of the things that you've done that you've already tried and have not been working? And what are some of the things that we can do? Let's try and turn around a quick plan so that we can get the necessary people on board to get this done. Because there's deadlines and there's deadlines, right? That's what they're called, deadlines. So that would be my 2 cents, JT.
I love it. I love it. Michael, what do you think? What do you do when it's out of your control?
Yeah, I think communication, as far as leaders need to communicate with the staff. And of course, we know what we have to do. You know what job number one is, but we have to make sure that this stuff is going to be covered. Yes, we want to take time off, and yes, we want to take our vacations, but we need to cover the work. So we need to communicate that if you're going to be out, okay, how are we moving the chains forward to get all these things done? And we need to sit down and have a conversation, because if you leave, we can't have things stop. We have to keep going. So I think it's definitely a communication issue.
Wonderful. Yeah, I agree. Lisa, final thoughts on that?
Yeah, just like everybody has said, you need to make sure that you've got a plan in place, that somebody's going to be able to cover all of your work when you're out. And then if when you're out, something can't get done, that's a red flag right there. That means that if somebody leaves, you've got a hole. So you shouldn't be having that hole. One person should not be controlling everything. You need to be able to do work. One person shouldn't hold the keys to the kingdom, right? So that's a red flag that you need to fix. Somebody should be able to come in, be able to take over, and be able to make decisions when somebody's out. And if, like I said, that doesn't happen, you got to fix that right away.
I love it. I love that you're pointing that out. It's a great call. Folks, I'm going to stop there because these are the amazing executive experts from Work It Daily. These individuals are highly trained. And what you want to do right now is jot down their names, find them, and follow them on LinkedIn. A wonderful opportunity for you to gain really insightful knowledge. They're all sharing their wisdom here on the platform. And of course, if you want to customize a connection request, just remember that when you reach out to them, tell them that you saw them on Executive Table Talk, okay? So they know where you're coming from. In fact, I just want to mention to all of you, if you don't know already, LinkedIn's dropped a major algorithm update that has changed how you find content on the platform. And one of the things that I think is most exciting is that they've recognized that they want to be an educational platform. They don't want to be another social media tool with lots of personal information. They want people to learn and grow from peers, from executive experts like the folks here. So I'm very excited about and very honored to have folks like Anna and Michael and Lisa on here sharing their knowledge, because this is the future of LinkedIn. So again, be sure to follow them so that you can get a lot more information from these types of experts, the people that are in the real world and in the trenches. And of course, if you want to know about all of our future episodes, head on over to workitdaily.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter. We feature all of the upcoming ETTs there so that you can make sure that you can RSVP and get those valuable insights, because it's totally free, right? So once again, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Anna. Yeah. Thank you to our amazing audience. You are fantastic. And remember, until next time, what do we tell you? If you want to win, you got to work it daily. Okay, my friends? Take care. Bye-bye.